Semi-final day in the French capital, and as the days get shorter and the nights longer, 4 becomes 2 in Paris. Welcome to Live at Roland-Garros. After 2 weeks of intense competition, we have our women's finalists, and with that in mind, here for you is what's coming up on tonight's show. It's a dream come true for finalist from Poland, Iga Swiatek. It's another 2020 Grand Slam final for Sofia Kenin. And 4-time champion Justine Henin on tomorrow's semi-finals. Good evening and welcome to the show. Now you can find us across all the Roland-Garros social media channels, and I'm very happy to say that this evening I am joined by Daniela Hantakova and tournament director Guy Forget. Guy, thank you for being with us.
Sure, good evening.
Now I wanted to start with so much that we've missed out on this year and so much still going on in the world. How happy and proud are you of this tournament and where we've got to?
Well, we're very happy because, you know, we've been going through so many hard times, not only in the tennis world, but, you know, worldwide. And we kept on turning the TV with bad news, and we're kind of depressing. It was depressing for all of us. And finally to see, you know, women, men playing it out on the beautiful court, although it was a bit raining sometime and cold. You know, the emotions we got through those wonderful matches, I think, was such a relief. So all of us at the French Federation very proud that this tournament is going towards the end, and with a lot of smiles on everyone's faces.
And it's been the warmest day of the tournament so far today, Daniela, and we've spoken before about how tennis is a global sport and it's brought everyone together.
Yeah, exactly so. And I think the weather conditions no one really realizes, because everyone just appreciates so much that we have some live tennis going on, especially given the fact that how global our sport is, and the players had to come all over the world, and being able to make this all happen, it goes, I mean, to a huge credit to the organizers, to the players, to the teams being so disciplined. And I think the moment when we saw Hugo Gaston winning his match on Susan Langland and suddenly standing ovations with fans around, I think it was a moment, those few seconds, that it was all worth fighting for and putting it on, and going through the sacrifices and the tough times, you know, being able to put event like this together. To me, this was the most emotional moment of the tournament so far, and thanks to Guy, we were able to all witness it.
Yeah, to have the 1,000 fans in here at this moment, I think all 1,000 were on Philippe Chatrier, but to hear the noise, the chanting of his name, singing the Marseillaise, it was a wonderful moment, and we've had that through the tournament.
Yeah, I never thought, you know, with 1,000 spectators in such a big arena, you could have that kind of emotion. So at least, you know, that's what we'll remember so far. That, you know, one little French guy, you know, out of nowhere, because, I mean, we knew him in France locally, but, you know, worldwide, I think a lot of people discovered how talented he was, how humble he was, how smart he could play, you know, and he could beat players almost twice his size.
And some of the players said that the US Open, wonderful event, but a little bit spooky because there weren't fans. Amazing the noise they can make. They've been spread out on all the courts. They've been following their players, and they've a really big part of this tournament, you feel?
Yes, and it's funny because I've come across a lot of people, you know, in the alleys in Roland-Garros, and they were so happy because, you know, to be able just one ticket to go on the Suzanne Lenglen, on the Simone Mathieu, on the Chatrier, on the outside course, whether you want to see the juniors or some doubles. I mean, people having, you know, a ball every time, and they go, "Thank you so much for getting this tournament. We're so happy to be here." So, you know, it feels really warm inside when you hear those people.
Yeah, it's really been the golden ticket if you've managed to have one, or you will have one before the end of the tournament. Now, normally, sometimes with us in the studio is Fabrice Santoro, but he is, well, we've let him loose with Eli, and I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Good evening. If you're wondering where we are, just look up to your right. We actually are, there we are. We're on the 6th floor of Court Philippe Chatrier. I'm lucky to have Fabrice with me tonight. Thank you for coming out on a walk for me. Fabrice, I want to talk to you about the fans. Let's talk about this. You're doing interviews at the end of the matches. You're usually doing the interviews in front of 15,000 people. Now there's 1,000. How does that change your job?
Of course, there's a couple of questions you can't ask because of the atmosphere, and also for a player who has a day off the next day, you can't ask him where are you going in Paris tomorrow because he's not allowed to leave the hotel. But in general, you can feel the same emotion as usually. It's a Grand Slam tournament, so when a player moves on and is going the second week, quarterfinal, semi-final after such a big battle, the emotion stays the same.
Okay, but you also, what about you can't actually talk to the crowd. You can't ask for the crowd's support. You can't, you can.
It's pretty tough to say. You want to maybe say thank you to the crowd when there is only 5% of the stadium but you can't also go to you want to say thank you to your family because the family is not able to travel. But still, I mean, after a big match, a 4-5 hours match, the satisfaction of a player is exactly the same as the other years.
What about, people talk about the fact that the players, it's difficult for them to play in front of an empty stadium or in front of a stadium with 800 people, 900 people. And from the outside, for people who don't really play tennis, it's hard to understand. You've been there, you've played in front of 15,000. So can you first explain what it feels like to have 15,000 people screaming your name, and then explain why it's hard?
First of all, I said before the tournament that for players like Kyrgios, Fognini or Monfils, who play for the crowd and who are very entertaining, it's going to be very difficult to play. Kyrgios didn't come, Fognini and Monfils lost first round. So that's a kind of answer. And regarding my career, I played many matches in front of 15,000, but also in front of 100 people. So I know both situations. So for me, it won't be a problem to play in front of 1,000 people. But for Nadal, Djokovic, or all the top players, of course it's more difficult because they don't used to play in front of just a couple of people.
Okay, so, well, there you have it. You have the explanation from the man. He's been there, done that. And we'll come back to you guys a little bit later. We're going to continue walking around.
Thank you very much. We've actually been discussing in the studio players who might or might not like that situation. And it brings us to our first match of the day. It was the first women's semi-final. Iga Swiatek against Nadia Podoroska. And it's an interesting situation here. Daniela, one player not really used to playing in front of big crowds. And Iga Swiatek, who said herself that she's quite shy and can be intimidated by big crowds.
Yeah, I think for players like this, it has been actually helpful that there are not too many people. There are still some that, you know, you don't think you are out there on a practice court. So you know that you are playing a match, but at the same time you don't get that overwhelming feeling which you sometimes can get playing these big matches on big courts. But to me it was an incredible match from Swiatek. Once again she showed us why she was able to beat Simona Halep the way she was, because it was exactly the same today, not really giving her opponent much to do because she was very aggressive, dominating most of the rallies, but in a very creative way, and that's the thing I love most about her.
And Guy, the first word I wrote down when going through this match was composure, the composure shown by the 19-year-old Iga Swiatek.
She was very impressive since the beginning of the tournament. So I thought Podoroska maybe was going to show a little bit more of what she can do, because I was impressed by her as well. And I thought this match can be so promising. If those two girls play at their best level, it can be incredible tennis. You know, a lot of variations, drop shots, going to the net. But it was more of a one-way match for Swiatek, and she was, you know, once again on top of her opponent. She always seems to find, you know, the right answers, and she was just too good today.
2 years on from winning the Wimbledon Juniors, she's in the Roland-Garros final.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really surprise me. When you look at her, she's got it all in her game. And I don't know what you think, Guy, but she reminds me a little bit the combination of Agi Radwanska and Martina Hingis as far as the anticipation of her movement.
That's a very good combination.
Yeah, and I think that's why she's so good, that she's incredibly fast on its own by nature, but then she also anticipates really well, and she uses the power of her opponents as well, just like Radwanska. So I think you know, we are looking at the future star of our game, because to me she's a full package.
She's also playing in the women's doubles. She's through to the semi-finals. And she said, I know she's 19, so she should have the energy to play every day. But for her, it's kept her in the rhythm of playing tennis every day.
Yeah, and I think you have to give her credit for that. I think it's wonderful when the top singles players play doubles, and I think a lot of men should do the same sometimes. You know, she has one day to recover, and sometimes she plays double, not a day off. So she doesn't have to go outside to practice at Jean-Bouin or somewhere else. That keeps her in the tournament. She probably enjoys herself as well playing doubles. It's a great way to improve her offensive game, and there she is.
No one's taken more than 4 games off her in a set on the way to the final.
Yeah, it's been a credible journey. And as Guy said there, playing the doubles, I think it keeps her with the momentum going. And I remember at her age, exactly when I was 19, I was always complaining why there is a day off during the slams. You know, I didn't know that much that later on, 20 years later, I will be very grateful for that. And, you know, just gives her also not being bored, because, you know, you are young, you have so much energy, and just makes you busy all the time.
Yet to drop a set, she came into the tournament as the world number 54. On the live ranking, she is at 24. A powerful, composed 6-2, 6-1 win to take her through to her first Grand Slam final.
Yeah, that's what I planned to do. So basically I wanted to play this match as if it would be first round because I didn't want to think that I'm in a semifinal because it would stress me. So I just kept being aggressive like in the previous matches. And I don't know, like I feel really lucky that I'm feeling good and nothing hurts me. So yeah, I hope I'm gonna play a great match tomorrow with doubles with my partner and singles in 2 days. Yeah.
There we go. Just, yep, she's through to the final. Our next match had the established players, shall we call them. They were the seeded two. They've won Grand Slams in the past. But going into this, it was Sofia Kenin who had the losing head-to-head against Petra Kvitova. But I thought that Sofia Kenin showed such maturity out there today.
Maturity and that fighting attitude that it just seems like it builds higher and higher as the tournament goes on. And as soon as she's like in the semis, quarter semis, finals of a tournament, suddenly you just have a feeling she's not gonna give up and she will do anything that it takes to get through matches. I have to say I was really completely wrong with my prediction here because I thought Petra would have too much power and she would be able to be the aggressive one, take away you know, the movement from Kenin. And yeah, I mean, good job to her that she was able to really be dominating throughout most of the rallies against Petra.
I think one of the most incredible stats for me, Guy, about Sofia Kenin is going into this, she was 21-0 in majors when she wins the first set. That's frightening.
It's incredible. She seems like when she walks on the court, she's on a mission. You know, I mean, I'm going to win this one and the next one and the set and the next set. I mean, she doesn't stop. She's like a machine and she's so impressive, you know, once again. So, you know, she deserves to be where she's now and the way she handled that match in any situation, you know, once again, she, you know, she's the one to look for. Look at her. I mean, the attitude she has and so young already.
She was asked what she likes most about tennis. There could be many things. She said winning. I really like winning. I just want to win. So it's winning.
Well, that's what the game is all about. You know, at any level, you can have a local player who has a really weird technique and manage to win all the time, and that's what tennis is all about.
And she's 16-1 in majors this year, Daniela.
No, it's incredible to do that at such a young age. But we have to also give so much credit to Petra being really composed out there and in a very gracious way, you know, even applauding to her opponent when she hit a good shot, which is not easy to do when it's someone like that it's in your face all the time. And, you know, it's very aggressive in between the points with the attitude as well. So credit to Petra as well, how she held her head up in the semifinals.
When we talk about fight and determination, Danny, it was not so long ago that Kenin was double bageled by Victoria Azarenka on the clay in Rome, and here she is in the Roland-Garros final.
Yeah, it's incredible how she was able to change things around mentally. We see that with Stefanos Tsitsipas as well, you know, having disappointing losses in Rome and in New York. And sometimes it's good for a player going into the tournament with not so much expectations. You feel like, okay, I have to restart again. So there is really not too much pressure on your shoulders because honestly, you know, from that match in Rome, it cannot be any worse than that. And she was just starting to build up a new momentum. And yeah, mentally just shows how strong she is.
This was her first quarter-final before the semis on clay at tour level. She's learning as she goes along. But again, as we started off with, it's the fight every point. And she loves a big stage. She's one of those, in some sports, you get those players, you put them on a big stage, they will shine. And she seems to be that person.
Well, that's how sometimes you determine how, you know, how good a player is. And I think she's going to have a bright future. She's so good already. But as you said, in those moments, when you have that kind of attitude and that kind of level, that's very promising for the rest of the season and the year and in the years to come. So we're looking probably at a potential, you know, multiple Grand Slam winner.
Yeah, no, 100%. And she is still, Danny, just 21 years of age.
No, it's incredible. I think we so many times forget her age. And as Guy said, with that fighting spirit, it takes you such a long way. And she's a great example of, you know, how when you believe in things and your mind is strong, you can pretty much achieve anything you want.
But I think I agree with you that if I was facing her, I think she would rattle me because she is so in your face.
Yeah, I think it would be tough for all three of us here to deal with that. And yeah, it's the combination of the attitude, the movement, also the fact that you feel like wherever you hit it on the court, she's there. And I think that's where we saw so many unforced errors from Petra because, you know, she was pushing the ball more and more to the lines at the end.
She certainly was. She didn't smile at the time, but she did smile during her on-court interview. So we know she's happy. She just has that look on court. She is through to the Roland-Garros final, 6-4, 7-5. It's an incredible record that she has at this level, and she will be contesting Saturday's final.
Yeah, definitely. I've done it in Australia, so I've had really tough matches this past 2 weeks, so I'm just so excited to be in the finals, and I think it's just incredible, and I'm just going to enjoy this moment today and start getting ready for the final tomorrow.
Final on Saturday, a first meeting between Iga Swiatek and the Australian Open champion Sofia Kenin. Now, it's that time of the show when we delve deep with the eye of Daniela. So the question for you at this stage is, what has caught your eye today?
Well, it is the fact that it's a semi-finals day, and I don't know what you think about it, but to me, it's where emotionally it starts to be really tough, because there is nothing like being in the semis of any other big tournament and a Grand Slam. Suddenly, the emotions are so much bigger, because this is what you train hard for. This is what we become tennis players for, and it's always interesting, especially for the players that never been in that situation, how they're gonna react. So to me, it was so interesting to follow that match between Swiatek and Podoroska, just to see how they can not get overwhelmed by playing on the center court, playing for, you know, the biggest opportunity in their lives, where with Sofia and Petra, they've been in that situation so many times. And also going into the finals, I think that is going to be such a huge factor, having a player that has already been there, done that, because emotionally you are just saving so much more energy, that you are in a territory that you kind of know what to expect already.
Because for Iga Swiatek, should she win, it will be life-changing. She spoke post-match. She doesn't have a racket sponsorship. And everyone was saying, what do you mean? She will have one very soon. If she comes out on top, it changes everything for her.
Yes, you're probably right. I don't know if that's what she has on her mind right now, her racket contract. But, you know, as Daniela said correctly, you know, she has to go into that match, that next match, forgetting about, you know, it's a final. I know it's difficult, but if she can play the same way she did the last few rounds, I mean, she's going to have a great final. I mean, no one says she's going to win or not, but the problem is sometimes you get overwhelmed by that pressure. You want to do so well. You know, your family, your whole country is watching you on television. Oh, I got to play good today. You know, it's a day I have to show everyone how talented I am. And if you think about that too much, you lose the essence of the game. It's just to go out, be relaxed, do your best, and then the result will be what it is. But I think she can still do it, and she's going to learn a lot from that, as you said, that first finals, big finals.
And it's interesting that she's been very open about talking about working with a sports psychologist. And years ago, in whatever sport, it was almost like a taboo word, and we don't talk about it. And now players are being more and more open about how helpful it is.
Well, I think, you know, a lot of athletes throughout the world in any sport, you know, I've worked with a psychologist to be the better person they can be on the court. I mean, some players don't have that need. Some players handle themselves really well in tight matches, and some other persons are really emotional when they start the match, or when they're about to close a match, or when they have break points. You know, I felt when I played sometime, I was so nervous on the break point. I say, I've been waiting for that point for so long. I hope I'm going to make it. By the time I'm finishing thinking about that, you know, the point is gone already, and I'm going, oh my goodness, I have to wait for probably another 15 minutes for another one. And you just have to, you know, forget about all that. You know, take it as it comes. If you make it good, but just play the point. Don't forget about the consequences if you lose it. Yeah. And that's what sometimes, you know, make players very nervous in big moments of big matches.
I think the first question of a tennis psychologist is the break points. And then it's like you're right away, they know the answer, or when you're serving for it. Those are the situations that sometimes it's better not to think at all. And I think that's why it's been also so useful, so many players doing meditation as well. And it's nice that they're opening up about it, because I think in our times it was more like everyone was, I think, doing it, especially people that really need it. But in a way, we were kind of scared to talk about it, I guess.
Yeah, it's fascinating that the final that we have between Iga Swiatek and Sofia Kenin on Saturday. Now, I had a quick look up, and they're not there anymore. I don't know if they were told to leave, or they've gone somewhere else, or they're sheltering from the wind. Eli and Fabrice, come in. Where are you?
Hello. Do you copy? Do you copy?
We do copy. We just can't see you.
All right. We are still on the roof of Court Philippe Chatrier, and we have a very impressive view on the court itself. It's actually it's a bit frightening if you're afraid of heights. So, but we're gonna tough through it. And I want to ask you, Fabrice, because we're talking about mental and we're talking about meditation. I remember very clearly you in Bercy, I believe it was, against Soderling, I think. Change of ends. You actually slept during change of ends. Mini naps.
Mini naps, of course. Yeah, I remember at the end of my career, I was able to close my eyes and have a quick nap during the changeover. This is something I work on it when I was very tired on the court, and it helps me a lot.
And you were woken up by the umpire saying time.
It's time to play. Time to play. Go back on court.
Is it? How hard is that? And are you sleeping or are you in a semi-sleep?
You close your eyes and you go somewhere. I can't say I was sleeping, but I go somewhere and my body all my body relax.
So I want to ask you also, because you say you worked on that. When you were a player, what about mental coaches? Was that something that was happening a lot? Were people seeing sports psychologists? Were you getting help on that? What was the situation?
I think a couple of psychologists during my career we helped me to be more positive on the court and a couple of different things. And today, actually, I heard that Iga Swiatek, when she started to play very well in the French Open, she talked to her psychologist and he said, I remove your mobile phone until the end of the tournament. And that remembers me, and that's a question maybe for Guy, because I had Guy as a sparring partner, as an opponent, as a Davis Cup captain, as a
friend in parties?
A friend, yeah, of course. And Guy, do you remember when you were a Davis Cup captain, we were not allowed to read the press during the whole week?
Yes, I do remember. And we removed the press in France before the matches because you could read the article both ways. The article was about how great Fabrice was, and no one knew how he could lose that match. He was for sure he's going to win it. So in his mind, gosh, I got pressure. If I lose, I'm like an idiot. And the other way around, like if you would read it, it would be written, oh, he plays Andre Agassi or this guy, and the guy's so good. We don't see how he could possibly win that match. So the other way around, like when you read an article like this, you go, oh, probably everyone thinks that I have no chance. Why read any article both ways? Just focus on what you have to do. You know that you can beat anyone, and Fabrice was the kind of player who on a good day could beat anybody. So I wanted just to remove the press. Guys, don't read it for the next 3 days. We're together. We don't need to hear any more, negative thoughts about what they think we should or could do. We know what we can do. So let's go ahead and focus.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much to Eli and Fabrice. They're going to be back a little bit later. We thought for a second he was actually sleeping at change of ends, but he was just going to another place. So we will hear from them again before the end of the show, but it's time now for our question of the day. Can Diego Schwartzman beat Rafa Nadal again on clay? Danny, I will start with you. What do you think about this?
Well, obviously he can. He's in the semifinals, but I don't think he will, just because of the fact we are talking about Rafa in Roland-Garros, and that's a completely different Rafa to Rome. There he was, coming back after not playing for such a long time, and I just feel like whenever Rafa gets to Paris and enters this site, there is something so special about him. So also given the fact how much time Diego has spent in that last match on the court, Rafa just being sharper and fresher physically, it's going to be a tight match, but I feel like Rafa is the one getting through it.
It could definitely be a long match, and it was wonderful what Diego Schwartzman did in Rome, but it is a different beast when you're contesting it on the clay over 5 sets.
Yeah, you see, if I was Schwartzman's coach, that's why I wouldn't want him to listen to this show, because he would say, oh, see, Daniela said, I can't beat Rafa. But to get back to your point, and very true what you said, Diego Schwartzman is a wonderful player. Knowing the side that he has and the power that he has, and he beats, guys in such a smart way all the time. He can do anything. And I think guys are can be afraid of him now, because they go, this guy takes the ball so early, he's aggressive, he plays smart, and no one knows what to expect. Even Rafa, who we know is sometimes a bit nervous when he starts his matches, and I'm sure he's going to take that match very, very seriously. So, of course, as Daniele said, Rafa is a favorite on that match. Best of 5. There are not many guys who beat Rafa here, best of 5, in any Grand Slam, by the way. But if he takes a good start, and I think probably that will be the key, if he gets ahead and wins the first set, that could happen. Then maybe Rafa can go down a little bit, and we can see a tremendous match. If Rafa gets ahead, win the first set, eventually 2, you know, Diego's very tired from the previous match he had. Don't forget, he had an unbelievable match with Dominic Thiem. You know, they went 5 sets. I mean, a hell of a match. Did he recover 100%? Probably not. So he doesn't want to get into a 5-setter with Rafa here in his bedroom in Roland-Garros.
Yeah, no one wants to get into a 5-setter with Rafa Nadal here. Now, we like to, with our question of the day, get the views of the players. And so for today's question, we put this question to the first 2 semi-finalists of the day.
Ooh, it's hard to say. Well, I don't know. I'm not good at analyzing tennis, so it's a tough question for me. But like my whole heart is with Rafa, and I'm gonna cheer for him. I think he's pretty confident right now, and basically he's like a king of clay. So I think with the good mindset, and good tennis, and with good shape, he can beat anyone. So I'm just gonna be cheering for him.
Yeah, of course he can. Of course, it is going to be more difficult to 5 sets, I think, but yeah, of course he can.
Now, Danny, of course we asked Nadia Podoroska, his countrywoman, because we had a feeling everyone else was going to land on the side of Nadal.
Yeah, that was a good tactic from Fabrice, was it? Because I'm sure he was going against me here.
It was Eli putting the questions. Okay. I think Fabrice has gone against you. So let's have a look at the poll results and see, because every day, Guy, we award a point to the winner of our debate. Okay. So we had 70% of people saying, no, he's not going to beat Nadal again on clay here, which means, Guy, look, you've won.
Oh, look at you there.
Special guest
joining
the
club.
Yeah, how is that possible?
I'm not sure.
But you're the tournament director, so you win
You're
everything.
The tournament director. We took a point
that's
away.
why, probably.
We gave you Fabrice's point.
Okay, thank you.
Is that okay? So sorry, Fabrice. We will be hearing from them a little bit later. Now, we know that tomorrow's men's semi-finals are set, and what better person to look ahead to them for us than a 4-time French Open champion, Roland-Garros champion. We sat down a little bit earlier today with Justine Henin.
Well, that could be a great long match, I think. And of course, Schwartzman beat Nadal in Rome. So situation is so different this year also for Rafa, even if he showed that he's really solid. He was a bit anxious at the beginning of the tournament with the conditions, the balls and a lot of things. But we could see that match after match, he really got his confidence. Of course, the conditions changed his game a little bit more. Against Sinner, we could see that it was harder for him to really develop his game, but still he wins in 3, so he's completely in confidence in this tournament. But Diego Schwartzman showed something amazing against him, and I think he has the confidence that he can do it. I still see Rafa a little bit as the favorite. It's impossible not to see him as the favorite, which everything he did here, but there will be a fight, and I think it can be an amazing semi-final. Yeah. We are very lucky to have 4 players who have played an amazing tennis in the past 10 days already. And it's going to be interesting. Tsitsipas has been suffering a lot in his first match, losing the first 2 sets. He was playing the final in Hamburg, of course. It was good he went to Germany because he was looking after his confidence. And then slowly but surely he built his confidence into this tournament, played very solid level. It's going to be a huge opportunity for him, even if Novak, he showed some physical issues. I don't think it is too serious. I think he will be at his level to compete. Tsitsipas is going to be taking the opportunity. He's probably going to attack a lot Novak. The way he's going to serve and the way he's going to be able to put pressure and not to be in the same rhythm all the time will be a key in this match. It's very hard to predict a favorite, but we're going to have a huge level of tennis for sure. I have to predict, then I would go to, just to be original a little bit, I will go for Schwartzman Tsitsipas for this final. Who knows?
Oh, there you go. Schwartzman Tsitsipas for the final. Eli, Fabrice, thoughts on that? If Fabrice is still talking to us as we gave his point away from the question of the day.
Are you guys talking to us? Are we on? Hello?
Hello.
Oh, okay. No, we're having a good time here with Fabrice. We're chilling inside Court Philippe Chatrier now. We're the closed roof. It's nice. It's a lot less windy than up there. Okay, let's talk about the semifinals. Fabrice, first let's talk about Rafa and Diego. Tell us what your thoughts are about that match.
My thought is both wonderful players, of course. What Diego is doing with his size is just amazing. He has a lot of confidence. But playing Rafa here in Roland-Garros, is different. Best of 5 is different. Rafa knows Schwartzman can beat him, so he's going to be even more. He's going to be very focused.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think that if Schwartzman wins a set, it's already a big achievement. So I will bet for Rafa in 3 sets.
Okay, because what the head-to-head is...
And the head-to-head is 9-1 for Rafa, and that's
9-1,
just reality of the head-to-head.
So too many details that are going in favor of Rafa. And the other semi-final, we have Novak Djokovic, who #1 in the world, who maybe is not at 100%, and Stefanos Tsitsipas, who's at 100,000%.
Stefanos lost the first 2 sets of the tournament against Munar. Then he won 15 sets in a row, so he's playing some amazing tennis. I think he has bigger chance than Schwartzman, especially regarding the situation with Novak. I don't know if Novak will be 80 or 100% tomorrow. I don't know if he practiced today or not. I don't have this information. But still, if Novak is fit, we will go all the way to Nadal-Djokovic in the final.
So, okay, you're predicting a Nadal-Djokovic final. The entire world and solar system will probably be focusing. Speaking of Tsitsipas, real quick, listen to this, Fabrice. Listen closely. This is what Tsitsipas said on court yesterday after his match.
Classics. Well, I remember watching Santoro against, what was that match? 6 hours long? Santoro against Clément, I think. Yeah, and my physio Jérôme was part of it, which is great how we united, you know, how small this world is.
So Stefanos Tsitsipas' #1 memory of Roland-Garros is Fabrice Santoro.
I didn't know that. Actually, I was talking quite a long time yesterday with his father after the match, but I didn't know it was his first souvenir.
What is your best souvenir of Roland-Garros? The #1. You close your eyes, say Roland-Garros. The first thing comes to mind.
Yannick, of course, because I was 10 years old when he won in 1983.
Okay. Okay. Well, we got Fabrice Santoro to go to flush red because he was not expecting Stefanos Tsitsipas to give him #1. Maybe you guys can talk about your favorite memories, Guy. I don't know. We're gonna just stay out here because it's really nice and just continue talking about tennis.
Can we stay, Guy? It's okay. We allowed?
Yes, you can.
Can we hit?
Okay.
If you have the right shoes, you can.
Yeah, you can. Can you bring some sushi?
Okay, enough now, boys. Shush. They're going to stay there for a little bit longer. So, Guy, close your eyes. Think of Roland-Garros. First thing that comes to mind.
Well, it's the first time I came as a kid with my coach. We drove from Marseille to Paris. I remember seeing Adriano Panatta play here on the center court. There was not that many people in the stands, though, but I was like, you know, at Disneyland, you know, here walking around those courts, seeing the best players in the world. I was, I don't know, probably 10 or 11 years old. Mm. And then the next one, big one, is Yannick's win here at Roland-Garros. He was huge for French tennis. I mean, Yannick was like a big brother. He was a mentor for all of us. He's a friend, still is. And we were just so emotional to see him, you know, hug his dad on the court, and everybody had tears in their eyes. So that's as good as tennis can be.
And Daniela, do we know your memory from here? Can it only be?
Well, talking about souvenirs, Fabrice. I mean, obviously, you know, winning the mixed doubles with Fabrice been super special, and also the match against Clément. I think all of us as a tennis players have been witnessing that, and also playing against Monica Seles here, first time in the 4th round. I think it was, one of the first few times I played against a top 10 player, so a definitely special moment.
Many memories. Now, it's been a busy today with the women's semi-finals. There was also some news, the launch of the Roland-Garros Pro Series, which seems, Guy, like a very interesting initiative.
Well, you know, a lot of us in France, in Europe and in Spain, we love clay. And sadly, there are less and less tournaments on clay. And of course, a lot easier to build a hard court anywhere and to have even a tournament on hard courts than clay. So we felt like with some other tournaments in South America, in Europe, even the Strasbourg tournament that's very successful. You know, we should get together and do the promotion of clay. Roland-Garros is the last of a long process, and the World Championship of clay. And we want to join forces together, you know, to promote the clay and have workshop together, find ways to promote the clay, find common partners, and you know, once again, see even more clay court specialists in the future. I mean, I believe that's why probably the Spanish tennis has been so good for so long because they grow on the clay. When you learn to play on the clay, you learn to be patient. You have to be good physically. You have to wait for the right shot to strike. You can't be just hit winners all the time. And that's why we want to enforce that. And like Wimbledon does, with now grass courts tournament on the swing before the championships, is just to do the same here in Roland-Garros.
It sounds very interesting. Well, wonderfully, we've got 3 more days of the clay here in Roland-Garros. We've got the men's semi-finals tomorrow. The first matchup could be a long one. Diego Schwartzman against Rafa Nadal. Now, we've all gone for Rafa Nadal to come through this. Yes, Danny, you look at that, everything's in his favour. Of course it is.
Yeah, it is, but we must not forget how many stories and surprises we've seen throughout this tournament this year. So obviously, 4 guys in the semi-finals, they are playing their best tennis and anything can happen. So it's tough to, say who is the favorite or who not, because, all of those stats, actually, they kind of go outside the window as soon as they step on the court because it's the semi-finals of a slam. Anything can happen. Obviously, I'm still going what I said at the beginning of the tournament, that I feel like Novak just has a little bit more than the rest of the guys. But it's going to be an entertaining match. Both ways.
I don't know, Guy, if things have changed after Novak Djokovic's last match when he didn't look himself, because up to that point, he felt like a very big favourite coming through this. Even against Nadal, people were tipping Novak Djokovic to win this title, and he's playing a young man in just his 2nd Grand Slam semi-final.
Yeah, and you never know what to expect with Novak because he was very impressive all the way through the previous match, and he walked on court and we saw him with with like a strap on his neck, and he was hitting his arm all the time. Then he hit his legs, and at one point I thought, is he going to default? Because I was really worried because everyone waits for potential Rafa Novak in the finals, number 1 against the number 2, but there he is. Wondering if he's going to finish the match, but even being in bad shape, as he was at the time, he still won set 2, 3, and 4 in a very positive manner, and he was very impressive. So I think he'll be fine for his match against Tsitsipas. I look forward to that match for the reason you've described before. I think Tsitsipas is an incredible player, not a typical clay court player, but he managed to slide well, and he has so many shots in his game that he can surprise anybody. And if he takes a good start, if he serves well, we could be watching one of the best games of the tournament.
Looking forward to it, Guy. Thank you so much for your company this evening.
Thank you.
And good luck with the final 3 days.
Thank you.
And Daniela, back tomorrow night?
Absolutely, yes.
And we'll have Fabrice as well.
Oh,
and we'll give you another point on the question of the day. We've already decided. We are going to sort that out. Sorry, I didn't know you were still listening, Fabrice. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your company as well. Don't forget, we're with you nightly from 7 o'clock. We've got to the business end of Roland-Garros 2020, so make sure you're with us tomorrow night from 7 o'clock. Until then, take care. Bye for now.